What's up, everybody? Welcome to the channel. If you're new here, thank you for being here. If you're a subscriber, thank you for coming back. In this video, we're going to go over the new kid on the block, the Sotion FW11. This motor is a drop-in motor for our Razor applications to include the MX, the SX, and the RSF. In this video, this bike is set up with the Sotion FW11, a Fardriver 72450, and a Amorge battery, 72 volts, 240 amps continuous, and it's a 40 amp hour battery. Stick with me, this video is going to be a little bit longer. It's going to be more in depth, a little bit more detailed, but I have put chapters in the description below if you feel like you want to bounce around. But beware, if you do that, I feel like you might miss something. This video is going to be full of information. Anyway, enough blabbing. Let's get this thing on the track. Let's go check it out. All right, guys, so here we have the Sotion and the EC4P on the bench. A couple of the things we're going to notice here are the features on the outside. You'll notice that the Sotion does not have a cooling feature on the outside, to where the EC4P does have cooling fins. It has a spot on top and the bottom to mount cooling fans. One thing that we're looking at the Sotion motor is the holes on the bottom. This is a great feature to have, guys, if you're going to be mounting this in a cart or a flat surface of some kind. So what you can do is you can take and mount this on a flat surface with a 1/4 inch piece of steel, a pedestal type of mounting that you can mount this onto a flat surface. Looking here on the front of the Sotion, it does come with a T8F sprocket. I heard that they're going to be coming with a 420 option as well as a 35 for the sprocket to fit this shaft. The wires, the phase wires, are 20 inches long, right about the same length as the EC4P. And since we're talking about the plugs, something worth mentioning is the plug is exactly the same. It's the same connection we're used to. The Kelly controllers, the Fardrivers all have very similar, if not the exact same plugs. One thing worth mentioning on this particular setup is the sensor wires are in an opposite order. So on the EC4P, it's blue, green, yellow. On the Sotion, it's yellow, green, blue. Whether or not you care about that, just an observation. The colors here for the positive, negative, and our temperature sensor are exactly the same on the other side of the connector. I did weigh these motors. The Sotion came in at 13 pounds, 399, 400, and the EC4P came in at just a little bit over 11 pounds. A couple things about the Sotion that are worth mentioning is it has a rating of 5,000 watts. All right, so 5,000 watts. It's been tested per the eForce website to 20,000 watts. That's just what the website says. And it has a IP67 rating as well. The peak speed on this motor is 10,000 RPMs, and it comes with a T8F sprocket right here. This one here is an 11-tooth T8F sprocket. It's got 11 Newton meters of torque. That's what it's rated at, and it's got a peak torque of 40 Newton meters, but that's at 600 phase amps. And that's about the extent of the differences on the outside. All right, guys, so here we are. I got the SX500 here in front of me, and I also have Jordan Davis on the phone. We're doing a FaceTime call right now. We're gonna go over the Sotion FW11 paired to a Fardriver 72450. Now, some of you might have a different battery, different controller. We're gonna kind of go over some things that maybe you should look at within your app settings so that you can apply it to your setup. Anyway, but Jordan Davis is the owner of the eForce website. He is the American distributor for the Sotion products here, the FW11. Anyway, Jordan, thank you for being on here and educating the community.
No problem, man. I'm glad to be here. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to get on here with you.
Of course.
Yeah.
So one thing we're going to do here is tune this bike. I have this bike plugged in. It's ready to go. I haven't even connected it to Bluetooth yet. And what do you say we turn it on, we get to the bottom of it, and we get this motor running for the community so they can start riding. One thing I will say, though, this Fardriver kit is not a plug-and-play kit. The Fardriver, I had to do some snipping. I had to add some connectors to get the voltmeter, the on-off switch, and the throttle hooked up. But one good thing that Jordan does offer is a plug-and-play kit with the vest controller that you have and the throttle kit and an on-off switch that comes all together, which is bolt-in, right?
Yes, yeah, everything is plug and play as far as that goes. It just has only the plugs you need.
Perfect. All right, so let's get started. I'm going to turn the bike on. We'll listen to the sequence, and we'll go from there. So I got the app here. I don't know if you can hear those beeps or not.
It sounds like we're in auto learn mode already.
All right. So I have the, I'm going over here to Bluetooth. I got the connector. I have the Fardriver WAN Q selected right here. All right. So once I go to that, then I go to what, Jordan? Once I get the correct Bluetooth piece of equipment selected.
So you have, and I just want to make sure, I'm sorry, I just want to make sure I'm on the right page.
Yep.
I'm bound already, correct?
I haven't done anything. This is the first time it's been hooked up.
Okay, gotcha. So you're gonna hit bind as far as what that goes on the communication.
Yep, I'm there.
Communications.
Yep.
All right, and then so you'll hit bound as far as that goes. It should bring up the file where
It said, this is the one I have. It says connected. Click here to bound.
yes.
All right, go in there. Bound controller, bound device. Okay, so we're good there.
All right, so now you can. It's on. There's no other beeping going off. It's just that right there is the auto. That two beeps. And one long is the auto learn.
Okay.
In auto learn mode, most of them are set up to go into that. You should be able to go over to your page of the parameters.
Okay.
And then you'll hit Open Pro.
Open Pro NBLE. I'm there.
Yep. Okay. And then, so on that, you're going to type in your pole pairs. And for the F11, it's going to be 5 pole pairs.
5 pairs.
Yep.
Selected. Check.
So, and in this case, you're not going to have to do anything else as far as setting your battery line amperage setting. That's going to be after the fact, because we don't want to limit the motor, limit the controller when it's trying to do the auto detect on the motor.
Okay.
Now, this is to do it like this. You want to do it without the chain on the motor. You're just going to throttle full blast, and you're going to hold that
Okay.
down in full, wide open position until it spins forward all the way. It's going to take maybe 20, 30 seconds max. Some motor, it'll vary, but just hold on, it'll get there. Then it'll stop, and it's going to reverse, and it's going to do the same thing.
Okay.
And then once that stops, you'll hear a beep. You should hear a beep.
Okay.
But if once it stops going the opposite direction, you can let go of that throttle, and your throttle calibration and auto learn is done. And
Okay.
they do that at the same time.
Okay. I go over to the return to simple mode, and then go to the graph.
Yeah, you can go to the graph page.
Okay. There I am, and then I'm going to just hold the throttle down.
Yeah, you're in auto learn right now. If for some reason it wasn't doing that, this is another page that you'll see it down there at the bottom. You've got one of the buttons you can hit auto learn.
Yeah.
And then it'll say confirm auto learn. Yes, and then it'll start beeping like it is now.
Okay.
But yeah, you should be, as far as that goes, you should be good to hit like just twist on the throttle, hold it down until both rotations complete.
All right. I'm going to send it.
Got it. Yeah, oscillation. That's so when the motor starts getting out of, it's almost sounding like it's a banshee, like a wobble.
Yeah. Checks out on my end. System okay. I got green checks. Green check mark. It looks like it should be good to go.
Well, so now we have to take in consideration our battery, what it can output.
Okay.
So, and go back over into those settings that are,
the Paris.
You're pretty much that first setting where it was like enter pro mode.
Yep. I'm there.
That'll allow you to scroll all the way down. You have all these things. Don't let it intimidate anybody. That's just how it is.
Sure. So just so people that are watching this, if this is their first time opening the Fardriver app, this is intimidating to look at. You might only need a handful of these things. The other 300,000 things, you probably are never going to touch or even need to mess with. Am I wrong in that?
No, you're completely right. That's the things that, there's a lot of variables that play into every build, and there's buttons that can do certain things, but for the most part, no, you don't need any of those other 300 settings. So we'll go over what's your battery max continuous current.
240.
It's probably 240, 400.
That sounds probably about right.
Okay. So yeah, and it probably did come back that way, maxed out already, correct?
Yep.
Like as far as that. Yeah.
It did.
So what's your rated speed? What did that come back at?
Rated speed is almost 8,000 RPMs.
Nice. All right. So yeah, dude, these things send. It's gonna go. So what's your let's scroll down to your
Oh, I'm sorry. Max speed or rated speed?
rated speed.
Oh yes, rated speed was 7,943 RPM. Max speed
Okay.
was 12,000.
Yeah, and go ahead and take that max speed down to 10.
10, because that's what the motor's rated at, yeah?
Yeah, it can go. Any of these motors that you hook up to the Fardriver are going to spin at 11,000 RPM. It's the Fardriver can't go past 12, and it starts to like really limp it at 11.
Gotcha.
So, but it oscillates at that point. That's what we don't want. We don't want that banshee sound.
Yeah.
Especially not under load.
Okay.
So the auto learn is limited by changing the current before the auto learn. That's when it can come into a point of you not getting that oscillation. We're not hitting the max potential of what the motor can do.
I gotcha. I'm tracking.
So yeah, we're at the point where we can look at, is it going the right way as far as that goes?
Let's check. I didn't even look at that.
I'm trying to think on the fly because you got my main phone.
Woo! That does spin fast, boy. Oh man.
Yeah, she sounds mean.
I think it's spinning the opposite direction, so I need motor direction needs to be a 1 instead of a 0, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Right.
So yeah, you have 1 or 0, and that's how the Fardriver is for the most part on a lot of the settings that you see that are set at default of 0.
Yeah.
But yeah, so can you see your weak response?
Weak response is 0.
Put it at 1.
We'll do that at 1.
So that right there for the FW11 anyways, not all motors, it depends on your like I said, a lot of variables, what your goals are, what this, that, and the other. But I know you're a street rider for the most part. Yeah. So I want you to get that every bit of that top speed, but not lose the torque.
Yeah.
So a lot of people think that 0, you're not going into field weakening. You are. I mean, if you go over and watch the graph as you're going, it's going, it'll show you when it goes past into the rated speed into field weakening.
Yeah.
None, absolutely, like on the setting, it has to go to none to be no field weakening. But one of all the things that I've tried and experimented with on multiple builds, hubs, mid-drives, whatever, 1 is the best overall performance giver.
Okay.
And especially for the FW11 as well. Okay. So, and we're adding throttle. So let's go down to go over to the graph and do me a favor. What's your throttle dead band at?
Throttle.
So it'll be over in that little tack that says where your throttle is.
In the graph section?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Okay. Return to simple graph section. I got it.
All right. Is it saying like 0.77, 0.78?
Yep.
Something like that?
0.78.
0.78?
Yeah.
So in the app, I mean, in the writing, it said don't get too, pretty much you don't want to get too close to the throttle in case you get a resting bolt spike. Yeah. And give you throttle when you're not even touching it, like it happens sometimes. It's not often, but it does happen, especially when you're doing a very quick stop and go motion, like if we're in traffic or something like that. Right. So what you want to do is stay about, let's say, a tenth above. So if you're at 0.78, let's take it up to 0.87, but just to be safe, I want to put it at 0.90. Okay. So that's back in the Paris section? Yeah, that's on the throttle, and that's going to be your throttle voltage low. That's what it'll say. Throttle. So the throttle low is where the throttle actually starts to engage voltage.
Throttle low is at 1.1, so we'll change that. Yeah. To what did you say? 0.09? 0.9. 0.9. Got it. Throttle low is 0.9. And then where's your throttle high at? What's it say? It should say 4.3 is base. 3.9. Should be in the same spot. Yep. Section is where your line current is and phase current. It should be around that same area. Yeah, let's leave it there for now. Okay. As far as temp sensor goes, where do we? Is yours set to none so far? Temp sensor is 2. Okay, so it auto detects that as well. Okay, so do me a favor, go over to your graph real quick. And see if graph. What's your temperature say? Motor temperature says 103. Okay, so it obviously read that wrong. What's your it says MOS temperature, MOSFETs of the controller? 22. Yeah, so we want that to match or be close. So 2 is NTC, I believe, or maybe it's PTC.
let's go back over to the settings section where it use that
it is NTC 230K.
Okay. You're gonna pick. It should be go to NTC 10K.
Okay. Number 6. Got it.
Oh, let's see if that one, because I'm trying to write now. These two have separate.
So now that says that my motor temperature is 21 degrees and my MOS temperature is 22. So there you go.
Oh, I was right. There we go. So I was right. We're got the right temp sensor.
Yeah.
All right. At 100% at 0, you're getting 200 line amps. That's applying to the controller that's being turned into phase amperage converted, and given.
Gotcha.
But you can leave those how they are when you do an auto turn.
Okay.
And it's still going to ride. Where you're at right now, you can pretty much hit save and go ride.
Well, I'm gonna do that I'm gonna do that right now before I mess anything up. So save that, and then I'm gonna go ride it, and then I go shoot some more footage, and hopefully I get a video out next week.
That sounds good to me, dude. That's really, we can fine tune it for you later. I mean, we kind of did throttle a little bit, but not really. There's a lot of other things we can mess with, but for the simple thing of it, that will get you going.
Cool.
That's exactly what you need to do for as long as you know the battery and the motor specs kind of to go with it.
Right. All right. Well, I appreciate you again, dude. Thanks again.
You too, man.
We'll see you on the forums.
Yes, sir.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, guys. So we're at the Voltron Watts testing ground, and this is the straightaway that I run behind me. And included on this road is about a mile loop. What I'm going to do right now is I'm going to take this Sotion bike on this mile loop. I'm going to do it 2 times in varying speeds on the throttle. The gearing I'm running right now is 72 rear, 11 front. I'm going to do the exact same test with similar throttle manner with a 54 rear and the 11 tooth front. So anyway, let's get on the bike. Let's go. Woo! All right, guys, so that concludes the road test. You can take the information for what it is. I'm just providing it for y'all. I did reach out to the engineer at Sotion to get an idea of what is an acceptable temperature for this motor. He said 130 degrees Celsius is about where the motor stops producing power, and 150 degrees Celsius is where you probably need to turn the bike off and let it cool off for a little bit. Now, your gearing can have a big effect on your motor temperatures. The ambient temperature outside in Texas in the summer, it's 110 already. So these things all play a difference. Your weight, the type of riding you're doing, if you're off-road, hill climbing, that sort of thing, you're going to generate more heat. So just keep those things in mind. 130 to 150 is what I was told. All right, guys, so this is where I film my test runs, and I even have this road at a slight uphill slope. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to mark my starting spot. We'll use that. I'm going to walk out an 1/8 mile using the Draggy, and I'm going to mark that. And I'm going to walk out 330 feet. And I'm going to mark that just so that the next time I come down here, I know exactly where I want to start and I know where my points are that I want to end. So that way I can concentrate on the distances and capturing the speeds that I want to get within those distances.
When you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, 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 go. I don't wanna be a slave. I've been doing shit my way, or the highway. And in the driveway is a nice range. Cause I grind through this time, I invite pain. Never hit the bitch, nah, I don't complain. Just gotta put the switch and you can go and obtain anything you want, anything you need.
All right, guys, so that wraps up the testing of the Sotion motor with the 72 tooth rear, 11 tooth front gearing. Let's take the bike back home, charge it back up. I'm gonna put a 54 tooth rear on there. I'm gonna keep the 11 tooth on the motor. We're gonna do the exact same tests, do the top speed runs. We're gonna see what kind of times we get in our 330 and our 8th mile time. Also too, I got a little surprise coming. Hopefully it'll be here today. A little sticker package we're gonna put on this bike for the remainder of the video. Should be pretty cool. Let's go. Hey guys, so right now I'm fixing to do the 330-foot race and the 8th mile race with the 54 tooth gear with the Sotion motor. So let's pull up the Draggy, see what kind of times we get. Let's go. All right guys, so those are the few Draggy runs that I had that were worth showing you guys. I did about 5 to 7 of them, and 2 or 3 of them were worth sharing on the Draggy and putting in this video. I feel like I really prefer the 54 tooth rear when I'm doing this race or this type of run, just because the takeoff is a little bit more manageable. I get acceleration and speed build up throughout the length of the course instead of topping out too soon. I got a top speed of 60 to 65, I believe, if I look at the Draggy again. What I was really impressed with is the 330-foot mark. What I'm trying to do is reach the 330-foot mark time in 6 seconds or less. So I got it at 6.5 seconds. I think if I took the different measures and the conditions were right, let's just say I wasn't on dirt bike tires, I strapped the front end down, I had a little bit longer of a bike, I think I could probably get to the 6 second flat mark just by doing a few tweaks, temperatures, that sort of thing. Enough road racing, enough road riding. Let's get this thing on the dirt. Let's see what it does. I have a feeling it will not disappoint. All right guys, so I'll be the first to admit I am not much of a dirt rider. I prefer the streets. I'm 40 years old, my back hurts. And when I ride dirt and trails, my back hurts more. So there you go. What I will say about this motor though is it does not disappoint on the streets, on the trails, installation, in the settings. Everything is just seamless. It's powerful. I mean, I could do wheelies from here to San Antonio on this thing. And right now I'm running 200 DC amps into the controller. I would probably end up turning this down if I was going to do some real riding, just because it's got so much power, and I don't need that on the kind of trails that I'm riding here. If I was doing hill climbs or something like that, yeah, sure. But this kind of riding here in Austin, Texas, this kind of trails, this kind of terrain can't even touch what this motor is capable of. And I say that from a inexperienced perspective, just because, well, this motor is more capable than I am. It'll do everything I ask it. Now, while I'm talking about the bike, I think it is worth mentioning the suspension on the bike. If you had any questions or you haven't seen any videos of the past of mine, the suspension on this bike is an ENC front fork. It's the front wheel, and it does have the ENC rear shock, which does make this terrain more manageable for old people like me, and it looks good. Let's feel it here. Let's go. Ah, damn! Almost killed myself. You know, and with this bike, this motor, this power plant, and the same goes with the ENC power plant, I am hesitant to let people ride it that don't understand what these small bikes are capable of. And they see a small bike and they like think to themselves, you know, initially, oh, it's not going to be anything, it's not that fast, it's not, you know, it's just a kid's toy. When you get on these things and you build these bikes out the way these are built out, the ones I've done, and this particular one here, these are no longer kids' toys. I would not put my kid on this. This is for an adult, 100%. All right, guys, so that's it. That's the end of this video. I hope that by watching this video, you have more information and are more educated on whether or not this is something you want to buy with your own hard-earned money. On this channel, I will never tell you what I think you should buy, what you shouldn't buy. I am simply here, I want to provide information to the community so you guys can make a more educated decision when you are spending your money. So with that in mind, guys, if you found any use in this content, please consider hitting the like button, the subscribe button, sending it to your buddy who does not have a modified Razor yet, but once he rides yours, he will. It doesn't cost anything, and it does help the channel tremendously. Thanks, guys. Have a great week.